Welcome to the Creative Marinade with myself, Francisco Rebello, and my good friend Anita, aka Ana Clara Lopez, aka the coolest Argentinian designer in Australia, aka one of my best friends in Sydney, Australia, aka my camping bro, my Friday night Surrey Hills, Newtown, Manly crew, and what else? Just an all-round good person, and
Creative fella.
and my matching jumper vibe. And I am really happy to share her story. So maybe someone out there can like be inspired by her journey. And last year we did a talk together in my work with the design kids. I did a talk. I got all my different Sydney design friends to do a talk, and Anita did one, and she killed it, obviously. But also, more than just like the thing that I personally like about hearing about designers and creatives is the like personal journey and personal aspects that took them to where they are in their job. And Anita shared a lot of really cool insights that um, I'd like to share with a wider audience like today. So, Anita, you tell us what you do, who you are.
Thank you, Francisco. And yes, it's been a pleasure to attend to your talk last year. I think that is really good what you're doing because you're giving like a voice to just normal designers like me and the other guys that did the talk to share their experience, which are like ordinary. They're like
Yeah.
normal, but they're great because they're like really human and each of their stories has like something personal.
You
So
know
yeah.
what? It's like in some ways like it's normal, ordinary, but in many ways it's not. Like I don't until I came to Australia, I never met no one from Argentina. Like someone from Argentina, Sydney, Australia. She's got a surfboard in the background. Like those are cool stories that maybe people need to know about. Like, I'm lucky enough to meet such people, and I think more people should know about it. So anyway, I interrupted you. Go on.
Yes, like it's a mix of it. I'm from Argentina, but also one of the things about me is that I was born in Argentina, but I have the during my childhood I live in like different places. So one of the things that I mentioned in my talk is that I have the pleasure, or maybe not when I was a kid, to travel abroad in different countries and also experience different situations because like in each country that I've been in, I felt like different experience, and also I discovered new cultures, which sometimes was a little bit like shocking at the beginning because it's like you think that in like everyone is like you, and then like when going to other countries you realize that everything is completely different.
Mm,
And nowadays with technology you can realize about that. Like if you look Instagram, it opens, or like other social media channels, it opens your eye of like what other countries do or like how other cultures work, but still it's like quite unique, have the experience to live it in different places and understand how people behave.
mm. That's great, but you didn't answer my question. What do you do?
Right, what I'm doing. I like talking. No, I'm just at the moment I'm a service slash product designer.
Oh yeah.
I've been working for a consultancy over a year. This consultancy is known as Fjord and also Accenture. So yes,
And
I'm doing.
oh yeah. And I know your background. I'm gonna like go into that, but also like for the people that don't know what a service designer is, um, yeah, tell us like what type of projects do you work on? What is the for someone who wants to become who maybe have the skill set to be a service designer? Like, what does it involve?
Yeah, so it's very tricky because when you go to uni or when you finish school, you don't get to see anywhere like what a product designer is or service designers. And when I'm saying product designer, I refer more not in like to physical products,
Mm.
not like industrial designer. Is more like digital products, like apps, websites, and any other thing that is related with screen. Um, so I will first explain what is like service design and then product design. And these are like careers that are still evolving through the time. And it's a little bit tricky because depending on which company you work, it could be a little bit different. So I work in a
Mm.
consultant, and in a consultant, I work around like different projects, which clients have like different ask, but everything is related about the is everything is related about like human centered design. So everything like we do is related to put the human in the middle of every experience that we do. So with service design is more around like designing experience. So for example, if you want to buy a coffee and you're in the street walking, uh, and you step out and you find a 7-Eleven, you decide to get the coffee, buy at 7-Eleven, drink the coffee, and then you're happy about it. So I'm the person that I'm behind all that experience. So since the beginning and since till the end, I'm the one designing that experience for you guys to drink that coffee, which you won't notice, but it's been like a designer working on that. And yes, that is like service
Yeah,
design. And yeah,
no, that's
and
that's
we
actually really good. But I want to clarify, like, for example, I'm a designer, graphic designer. When you say the coffee, like, I'll design the sign, for example, like the typography, the color. And I was saying last time you were telling Romy about our friend Romy about your work, and she was like, "Oh, what's the graphic design in that?" So when you say service design and designing the coffee, how you get your coffee, what does that involve, like from what you do?
yes, that is a really good question that I should have mentioned. So service design is like more holistic. So
Mm,
when you're a service designer, you have like what you do is like instead of working on a specific problem like how to get a like the design of like the coffee cup, we tend to see everything widely from the beginning to the end of the experience. So service design is more around understanding the whole experience rather than like designing for like specific things. So when we talk about service design is more holistic, and then
mm,
it goes like it's funnels to like graphic design or product design or any other like thing that could be like designing like just the coffee cup that I mentioned. So service design is really big, and then like you funnel to get like those results. So
mm.
it's something that is
So
more intangible.
I didn't even think I was going to ask you all this, but I'm actually curious. And like, because like there's web design, graphic design, you're designing graphic design, you're designing the sign, website design, you're designing the website that people click through. There's UX design, where maybe you're not choosing the colors and fonts, but you're thinking about how people get from the homepage to the product page to click buy. And service design is like a step even outside of the website, and it's how people get from the advertising to the signage to the front door to the menu to, yeah, like it's
Yeah, and even the employer or even the experience that is like that no one sees. So
mm,
what is good about service design is like it's like when you do a service design project, you have to, for example, map an experience so you can see what are like the gaps between like everything in the experience and you can connect them.
mm,
So say that, for example, buying a coffee at 7-Eleven, when you map that experience as a service designer, you not only think about the user but also think about the person that works at 7-Eleven that needs to, for example, fix the machine or needs to like get like the coffee like yes get the client to pay the coffee. So you map the whole experience and you take into account all the users, not only
mm,
the user but also like all the people or yes, all the people that is involved in order for the user to get into that single thing that is like drinking a coffee.
I see. That's almost like, so that's almost like business then design, or I guess. Yeah, go.
Yes, it's like a really small line between that, but what it makes it service is that there is like a research, and we put like the user in at the front, not only the end user but also like some stakeholders as a worker. So
Mm,
I'm an employer at 7-Eleven, and for me, it's really tricky to know how to use the coffee machine to help the client. Then it's like a service designers will target that problem. So one of the things that you can do in a service design project is like make a research around and interview people. So you have the you can interview, for example, stakeholders like the client or even the people that works in the shop. So you get to interview all these people, and based on what they are telling to you, you map this experience. So it's
mm,
not you who are talking about what is better, it's you explaining what is the situation based on these people that is like working on that. So basically it's like while doing this research, you bring the voice of these users. It's not me or like someone else dictating how the business should run.
mm-hmm,
It's us dictating like how the user needs to run the business. So for example, if the client says, hey, every time that I buy a coffee in 7-Eleven, I start not buying it because the cup is not possible to recycle, and 7-Eleven doesn't care about sustainability. So in a service design project, that is one thing that we can focus and address. So
mm-hmm,
that can be changed through like better signage, also like doing more sustainable projects. So then it's like when a graphic designer appears and say, okay, how we communicate that, the sustainability part, and then it's like when other parts start working based on that mapping that a service design has done.
mm-hmm. You know what? I'm glad I asked that question and you gave an answer. I feel like I've always wanted to know. Like I studied industrial design, like product design at uni, and some people went into service design, and I kind of know what it is, but hearing you explain it was clear, much more clearer, and like give a kind of good overview. Um, I want to know though, like from when I first met you, you like were or are traditionally like a graphic designer, and you were working on like you had a lot of branding projects and you worked for a branding agency. I knew that you were studying your degree in Australia and were interested in UX. I remember that. Tell me about like, because you've just described this service design situation, which seems almost like business and research and things that aren't visual design, but you like began and in yourself like are a visual designer too. Tell me about how like before we get into how you change from design to service design, tell me about your like what you are, your kind of history as a graphic designer and what you like about it and stuff like that.
So being a graphic designer is something that I still love,
Mm.
and I think that it's like it's something that I really have a passion on it, and I can do like fun projects with it. So that's the main reason when I start graphic design, I was a bit confused because I was at school, and yes, I love art, I love creativity, I love like digital things, like doing things. But then I was like, I'm really bad at like at drawing. I'm like, I don't know how to even like do something. How I'm going to become this like graphic designer if I don't even know how to draw? And I was like having all these things about me and my confidence. Once day I
What
say,
age was that?
I was 17
Okay, yeah, yeah, cool.
when I finished school. Actually, yes, I because I didn't know what to study, I went to I don't know how it calls here, but a woman that reads my astral cards.
Rummy, bro.
So I didn't know what to do in my career. I went to that
You should
lady.
put that on your CV, on your LinkedIn.
And she was like, like you're creative, you're water, and she started like to tell me about like how I'm creative. And I realized that since I was a kid, for example, I always tend to do some videos for my friends, and I like to do some like signage for school projects, or I was always in charge of the visuals. Also, writing and speaking for me was not the way that I like to communicate most. I really like communicating or giving a message with something visual or has like a visual impact. So yes, that's how I decided to study graphic design. To be honest, I will give it a try and I would see how it goes, because I was not sure about my skills um, as a graphic designer, because I never draw when I was a kid. Something that I just was really interesting, but never had the courage to. So yes, my parents support me. So I started uni at Buenos Aires. I'm original from Cordoba, which is like 8 hours from Buenos Aires. So I moved
Oh,
to Buenos Aires, and I started uni there, which was like amazing, great experience. We start doing things manually, even the computer, and you can use like some softwares. What in my school they really want to teach you is not how to use the softwares, because they are like changing all the time,
mm,
but how you use your brain, or your, yeah, how do you use your brain to achieve like a visual result.
that's
So
pretty
it was,
good.
yeah, it
It's
was
fu-
really good.
yeah, it's funny also. Like I never thought that. Like when I started as a designer, everyone used everything Adobe, like Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, Adobe Flash, and like you never thought that they would no longer be Adobe. And like as a digital designer, that changed, and then some people use Sketch, and now Figma. And yeah, you're right. So like it's good. You didn't think that software will change, but software can change, and it's about you being a designer, not like just being using the software.
Yes, it was more around understanding what message do you want to transmit to people with your with what, like for example, like you can achieve a result even if it's like something in the screen or in the wall or whatever it is.
Mm.
It has to be in the right moment, in the right place, and well said it. So it's more about that thought behind it, which was great, because it forced me to do things manually and not think about the tool, which was like Photoshop or Adobe or Illustrator, or even like could be, yes, any other software that is nowadays.
But and then but then you came to Australia, and then you studied uh, again, and you were working as well. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so in like I studied graphic design like 2 years and a half in Argentina, and then I met my boyfriend. So when I met him, he wanted to come here to Australia, and I say, okay, like I might take like 1 year off of uni and like go to Australia and like have fun and enjoy. So I took that year off and I
Mm.
traveled here to Australia. I was first in Queensland, in Toowoomba, a small town, like enjoying like doing like random stuff, till one day I was like, oh, like I need to go back to Argentina to uni, or what if like I finish uni here in Australia? How are universities here? Like
Mm.
it would be amazing also to see what opportunities this country can give me, because like every time that like I think that like knowledge or education could be like totally different depending on the country that you are. So I really want to see how it's in Australia.
Mm.
So I give it a go. I start studying at Billy Blue,
Oh, yeah.
here in Sydney, and the career name was like communication of graphic design, which was quite similar. So yes, I start here, and it was funny because here it was like completely different. How was the approach to the to the yes, to the profession,
Mm.
which was really good because it was like a different perspective, and I already got the two of them. This was more like business driven. You have to be better at selling yourself as a designer, how to speak with people about your ideas. So it was really good because yes, you need all that craft and all that good things, but in the end you're selling everything. Like you need to get money from your project, so you need to know how to sell products or sell like projects to your clients. So that was something really good, because as a designer sometimes because we are more visual, we struggle to sell or like to tell our ideas to other people. So it's like, how
Mm.
as a designer I communicate that to a person that doesn't understand anything about visuals. They want to sell and make money.
Mm. And then you were also working and freelancing. I remember you just reminded me now when I first met you and we said to like have a look at your portfolio, and it was lots of branding stuff. It was really good. And then I also then after a while you started telling me that you were doing like random website jobs in Manly, like for so like a car people, and I was like respect. And not only that, you were learning the coding, you're doing. I was like, wow, this girl is actually sick. And then after that, you were also working with the in a branding company with the like photographer, and then that's when we became famous and got our pictures on the on the packaging of the camera.
Uh,
um,
yeah,
so you studied in Australia. It was more, I guess, business minded. How did you then take that into working after that?
yeah. So I was at Billy Blue, and I was working also in hospitality, and I hate it. I
Mm,
hated working as a waitress, and I was like, why I'm losing my time working in this where I can like be a graphic designer. So I was like desperately like trying to look an opportunity.
mm,
And that's how I met Francisco also, because I was building on my portfolio. Uh, and I was like needing for help and advice, and Francisco helped me and mentor me in order how to present my projects, what is good, what is bad. He gave me like his point of view. So thanks to this guy, I was able to also, build confidence to how I present my projects to when I was applying for jobs,
mm,
which was a little bit hard at the beginning, and also it took me time. I remember that one of the reasons that they hired me at my previous jobs, that is like a design and photography agency, here in Brookville in Sydney. One of the reasons that they hired me was because of a side project that I did, and I
mm.
made it up by myself,
I love
one
that.
that I really love.
Yeah. Which one?
So
I don't remember it, but tell me.
it's called Orangutan. So basically, one day I bought, those things that surfers, like those big towels that surfers use to get change. I don't know the
Okay.
name. So surfers, when they need to get changed, they are like these big towels that they put on, and it's like a sweater towel, so they can
Okay.
get
Okay.
changed.
I'm gonna Google it. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So basically, I'm not sure if it even exists. So basically, I saw
Oh, it
this.
doesn't exist. Okay. Okay.
I don't know, because I think that it's like it was from some Argentinians, and I'm not sure if they still producing. But
Mm,
yes, those towels are everywhere. So I wanted to give to my boyfriend as a present these towels, so I gave it to him, and the brand was called Orangutan, and the
okay.
logo was horrible, horrible. But
Okay.
I'm really into the beach. I really love the beach, so I was like really into the beach. I really like the concept of the brand. So I talked
Mm,
to this guy, and I was like, hey, like, would you mind if I like play with your like make you a rebrand for free, and I use it like just for practice?
yeah.
And I would say that never do something for free. It's something that
Yeah.
everyone says, but at the moment I didn't have the guts or the confidence.
Yeah. He was in Australia. I mean, in or Argentina.
The guy was here in Australia, and he told me, yes, yes, that will be amazing. So I saw the logo
Yeah.
and started doing everything. In the end, the guy never liked my logo. The guy, like, I couldn't like get the attention of the guy. So like what I tried to do with the guy was not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it really helps me to my portfolio. Thanks to that project, I got the job that I had 1 year ago, and
That
was the
goes
job.
to show. So what? The guy didn't like the logo, but the professional branding agency did. Like, yeah.
And even when I put it on Behance, everyone loves the project, and I
Mm,
was like, "What?" Like I never thought about like this result, because it took me ages. The guy, like the client, like make me like crazy, go back and forth, and it was really hard for me to see and to build confidence.
mm.
But in the end, it really works. like, you know, not as I expected, but works like super super good. And that is something that I encourage, like keep doing. Like if you got this gut feeling about something, just do it. Like
Mm.
sometimes won't go the way that you want it to, but it really helped me to get this job, which was like much more important than get like the approval of
That
like a
that
person.
yeah, yeah. You're bro, Anita, you're sick, bro. You know why? Like one, I always think like you see, sometimes it's easier to say than like to do, but for people wanting to get a job, it's like you kind of just have to do what's like you think is sick. And like if you think that this Nike advert isn't good enough and you want to make a better one, then like you do that and a company will want you to do that for them as opposed to like waiting only for when I get a job that I'm going to do a Nike advert or whatever it is. Like, you know, you took the initiative to do that. And also, I remember when we had our road trip to Oberon, and I remember you asking me about my company, and what I liked about you, what you were saying was you were happy to like criticize my like the company. You're like, oh, this website, oh, like I think it was on our old website. Oh yeah, this should change and this and that. And I was like, yeah, I was like, told my boss about it, like you know, like that's what our company looks for, especially in juniors and stuff, is like is to not just to know what is good, what you like and what you don't like, and for what reason. And that's what you. I didn't know that story about the orangutan, but that's good. Like you took the initiative, and it also started off from you thought it was crap, and you can do a better job. And I think that's good that you did that.
And also, one thing that I like to mention is like when you design, you cannot design for the whole audience. Like when you do something, it won't be like something that everyone will love. Like for example, my mom, half of my design she doesn't understand or she doesn't like, and it's fine because it's
Yeah,
like I'm not designing for her.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
designing for a specific audience.
Mm.
So that's the thing also when you design, like it doesn't have to be nice for everyone. It has to be nice for the audience that you are designing for and has to speak to that people. Um, but yes, was a really long and nice journey to like get that job at the Better Brands Co. That's the name of the company.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And what do you think changed? What was your interest in like UX? And because yeah, when I met you, with graphic design was your experience, but you were very keen on UX and like how things worked, and even you had your portfolio later portfolio projects had like UX in it. So how did that? Because I think there's lots of interest in people wanting to get into UX, um, but how was that transition for you?
So that was like thanks to uni. I decided to do like alternative subject,
Mm,
and I choose one that I like brought my attention and was like UX, like user experience. And when I started that subject, I realized that there was like I don't know, I felt like another type of passion, which I'm really interested in like human behavior, and
mhm,
for me, it's more around like you know I love arty things and visual things, but I
mm,
think that I love it more for myself and do it because I love it rather than doing for other ones. But what I really like to do when I design is to do things that help people, or like even if it's like doing like a horrible wireframe that is like building like how to get a mortgage, or like doing like some more experience. I really like the behavior behind it, or understanding the people and see how I can help them through design. So that's the part that it really grasped me when I was doing these subjects, to study the user and to listen their needs and design based on that. Whereas in my job I was like in a point that I was designing really cool things, but also have like projects like, for example, designing Instagram tiles or Facebook tile for clients
okay,
that wanted to sell sustainable products and
okay,
they were not sustainable.
yeah,
So I was like doing things that they were not ethical to me.
mm,
Whereas like UX is not, it is not, that doesn't mean that UX is like super ethical. Like
mm,
some companies don't use it properly or like use it like against the user, but
Mm.
it was like more around study the subject and do something with that information that you got.
Mm. How was the journey, like practically, for you to go to um, become that? Like, where did you start with your portfolio projects? Like, if you rebranded that guy's towel brand, how did you approach a UX thing for your portfolio, and how did you then go out and reach out to companies and that type of stuff?
Yeah, so it was like a little bit time because after doing all that portfolio to get my first job, I realized that I really want to change direction.
Hmm.
So I had like to redo my portfolio and speak to a different audience or speak to different type of companies. So it was like a long journey as well, and was like 1 year of me preparing my portfolio, to be honest. Like while I was doing like uni projects, in most of them I used a lot of like UX, so I got like a lot of good stuff. But one thing that I was not as good when I was doing the interviews with to get a UX role is that people wanted to see like not fake project, they want to see real project, which
Mm.
was hard for me to get into. But in my previous work, I managed to do one project and two using UX. Like
Mm.
I managed to convince my boss to start applying UX for example, doing websites or yes, especially for doing websites. I convinced my boss to start doing that. So
Mm.
that's how I get like to incorporate that based on my knowledge from uni.
What do you
But
mean start to like? How do you apply UX to your website design that didn't need it?
so, for example, my last project in my previous job was to design a non-alcoholic website.
Mm.
So an e-commerce website for non-alcoholic drinks. It's called Sans Drinks, and it's really interesting because it was like an amazing client that she came with this idea, or she bought this business about selling non-alcohol drinks to Australians. So, for example, wine without alcohol or beers without alcohol that now is getting really trendy,
Hmm.
and that is something really unique as around Australia, because Australians really go through these phases of like dry July, or for Easter they tend not to drink, or there are lots of people that are going like to lots of like drinking problems, so they decide to start like drinking non-alcoholic drinks, so they can go, for example, to social events and drink but not with alcohol. So I think that this was a really good project because you need to understand a bit around the audience, like n- yes, non-alcoholic beverage is something really unique. So that's how I start. Like I decide to do a little bit of research and also like competitive analysis between like other companies that were emerging with this proposal. So that is how I push this to my boss, and she was happy about it. Like she really understood, and she was like, yes, like just do it.
That's good. And so, yeah, how did you? Oh, so through that you added to your portfolio, and then how did you transition, like, to actually getting a job in your current place?
Hmm. Yeah. So in my current place, also what I did a lot while I was working in my previous company, I think that was unconsciously, but I was like buying and reading a lot of books about UX or interaction design. Also, like I was listening to a lot of podcasts or following like really good agencies around UX, like UX or product design or service design. Like for example, if you want to have like really good references, there is one that is called IDEO.org,
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah,
that is called Frog. So
yeah, yeah.
I
That's sick. Yeah.
have their own podcast. So I started really
Okay.
listening to them, and they were like super amazing, and they blow my mind. And I was like, I need to go to these type of companies.
Mm.
So what I started doing is I did like kind of like a market research of like which companies in Australia have like are really good in product or service design, and that's how like Fjord appeared.
Mm.
So when I was preparing my portfolio, I start also to contact people through LinkedIn, that works in these companies. So I was really lucky that I contact one guy that works at Fjord, and I was like really interested in his role. His role was like kind of like product VR designer, and I was like, what is this role? This is really cool because also when you're looking in this, people has like really strange roles sometimes, and you don't know what they mean, or like those they have like really intimidating names, and then they talk you about the name, and you're like, oh, okay, is that like, I don't know, for example, creative technologist? That is like a role that is around Fjord as well. That you're like, what the fuck is creative technology? What is that? And
Yeah, yeah.
also I was like really curious about all these new roles, so I approached to this person in LinkedIn, and he came back to me with really great feedback. So we started talking, and he was like, hey, like he was like really keen on having a look and give me feedback about my portfolio.
Mm,
And to be honest, I think that designers, we are like really we really help each other. Like we're really constructive. Like you helped me, Francisco.
mm,
This other guy helped me,
mm,
and I also help other people that wants to transition into like their design careers,
mm.
or like, yes. I think that we really share everything because feedback is what makes you better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, like, I think personally find when you're on the outside, like many people maybe who's listening to this, like, it seems so intimidating. Like that's also why did this podcast. Like, you see that you look on LinkedIn, you see Anita Lopez, designer, like, and you see that picture and then you think like, oh, they're so clever, and obviously you are clever, but like in
Eh,
this like corporate office, but actually they're all people. And not that, like, if someone approaches me or you in that kind of way that you see yourself in, or like you're like, this person is making an effort, and they want to get there. Maybe they haven't got the thing yet to show my company or my boss, but they got they need a little bit of help, I think. Yeah, people want to help, but it's interesting, like when you're on the outside everything seems so far away, but it helps to make their like personal connection with people, and like, yeah, like become friends or ask for
and also,
advice.
yes, also it's a journey. It's not that like I studied with a girl that read me the card saying me you should be avoiding people, and I was like, okay, let's. So it's just like a journey, and you should be open, and also you shouldn't rush. Like when, like I decided to take 1 year off, and I didn't finish uni to come here, and look how I'm like where I am now.
All right, I'll got one more question before I go to the quick fire round that Romy requested. All right, well, last question is, what would you?
Say something
Yeah.
to the audience. Francisco really likes Romy. Romy is like a great person, and he will always mention her. So I hope that you get the pleasure to meet her in other
Nah, it's a mutual friend. She's actually the witch that told you to be a designer.
podcasts.
Okay, wait, okay. Final question is, what advice would you give to your younger self? Like, not that young, like not the witch lady self, like the 5 years ago, 5 years ago self.
Which advice?
Maybe more like emotional advice. I feel like that is kind of.
Yes, of course, like all the things and all the journey that I have been doing, there were like lots of moments of anxiety, and also like me wanting to know everything and be like perfect. And yes, and it's like I think that everything that I've done was really good, but I always been like more anxious that I should. Or yes, I would say like trust yourself more. Your gut feeling is something that you should like use and trust, and not get crazy if you don't get results now. Like you will get them. Like just be patient and consistent and persistent. I think like consistency and persistence like always help me. You
Mm,
don't achieve something from one day to another. You achieve something with patience and working and trying and failing and trying again and failing again.
mm, very wise. So if you met younger Anita, you'd say like, Just relax. You don't everything has to be perfect now, but if you keep continuing, keep being consistent, keep trying, keep working, keep applying for jobs, like it will come.
Yes.
And
Take your
also what I really like in your thing was like you said the word journey, and you're kind of in some ways like at the beginning of this career, like service design, or you even don't know yet, you're still figuring out which way. But this isn't the beginning, like where you finish uni, like you studied in Argentina, you studied in Australia, you worked as a graphic designer, you worked freelance, you worked in an agency, and none of those, like now you do something different, but that still led you to where you are. And I think people, yeah, like the people that we admire, they often, where we see them is like not the beginning of their journey, and maybe like took them to time to get there. All right. Is there anything he had wanted to say?
Not sure. I think that I have already said everything that I need to say, maybe.
Is there any piece of advice for other people out there? Yeah, I think actually that I get lots of people that want to be UX designers, people that studied like in like boot camps and things like that. And there's a market out there. Like, what would you advise them for getting a job or for getting what they want?
Look, I know that it's really hard sometimes and challenging, but I will advise them to connect with people, to chat with people, and discovering things. I think like people always help you to read what you want, and also to keep. Yes, I think that like reaching people is always like a good advice. They will help you, and being connected, it will open you doors.
Yeah. All right. You want to hit a quick fire round? I've just made this up in my head right now.
Okay, what is that? I don't know what means a fire round.
Okay. You get 30 seconds to answer each question. Yeah.
Ah, okay, 30
Okay.
seconds is a lot.
Okay. 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 Maybe it's going to be like an interview. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm
Okay,
making
let's see.
this up. Okay. Okay. Um, what would be your dream product or service to make? 30 seconds.
Ooh. Yeah, maybe I need the 30 seconds. I think that is more around animals. Like I'm really keen to do something that helps animals, especially dogs, rescue dogs. So my
Oh.
project will be like to have like to be able to get funds for helping dogs in the street, especially in poor countries
Oh.
like Argentina.
In Argentina is very clever. Okay. 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 Next question. What's the most annoying stroke frustrating stroke thing that you would like to use, that you would like to fix in the world, in that like kind of service design, product design type thing? Go.
um, I think that is more around like people, the designers that are behind some experience, that they put, yes, they prioritize economic purpose rather than persons. So it's like more around like getting rid of like dark patterns.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
That
Okay.
was really
Okay.
quick. I need
Okay.
to
Okay. Okay.
start talking.
What else? What else? How could you use service design to make Francisco lose his belly?
Ooh, you don't need service design, mate. You need to like go and run outside.
Is that what your map looks like?
I like your belly, Francisco, so I would say just keep it and don't worry about it.
Okay, so the user research says no. All right. Okay. 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 All right. Okay. Um, what would do you think would be the biggest difference doing if you were Anita today in Australia or Anita today in Argentina?
What would be like the difference between those two Anitas?
Yeah, would you be doing the same thing, like work wise, or would you be more?
Maybe not. In Argentina, I would be like still finishing my university degree because it's like really complicated, and I would be much more poor. The salary sucks.
True, 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 true. All right, what other good questions? Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. Um, um, I'm gonna ask a silly question. All right, what would be um, your dream burger, like your dream burger and meal?
Hamburger. I dream.
Yeah, what's in it? Yeah,
Ooh, grill.
yeah.
For me, like mayonnaise is the best thing of a burger. Has to got a lot of mayonnaise. No tomato. I don't like tomato.
Oh my god.
Burger, a lot of cheese, amazing mayonnaise, lettuce, and a soft bread that
Oh,
cannot touch the top of the bread with the bottom. I don't like burgers that you can like squeeze them and the bottom of the bread touch with the bottom, with the top.
okay.
Very
That's all my quick fire questions.
awesome, awesome.
Is there anything
No,
that you think we
that's
missed that you
it.
want to talk about?
No, I want to thank you, Francisco. This is amazing, and what you're doing is great. So keep going. People will love it. I love it already.
Yeah, baby. Also, thank you for doing this. And you're right. Like when you're saying like, oh, designers want to help each other. Like we're helping each other. We're helping other people. Like that people can see this and get some, not just like what you do, but see that you're cool and that we're cool and we're just normal people and it's funny and yeah,
Yes, and if someone feels like talking or reaching to me about like product service design, just like find me on LinkedIn or whatever, and like just chat to me, and we can connect.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Stay online, but I'm gonna say bye. Say bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, bro.